So this young man here is named Nardo Wick. He made a song called Who Wants Smoke a few years ago, which was one of my favorite rap songs, probably in 2022. So he was on a show on YouTube called 50 Women versus Rapper, which is basically a speed dating show. And the rapper asked 50 women questions, and the 50 women asked the rapper questions. And then he choose, I don't know, like 5 to 10 women that he likes. And then at the end, he chooses the one that he connects with. Doesn't mean they're going to date, he just likes her the best. So Hip Hop Ties on X said she really called Nardo Wick boring after he told her he doesn't drink or smoke. So what happened was early on he was talking to one of the ladies and she asked him, do you drink? And he was like, sometimes with my mom, but not really. And then she asked him, do you smoke? And he was like, no. And she's like, well, what do you do for fun? Like, you just must be one of those boring dudes. She didn't say dudes, but yeah, she must be one of those boring guys. And he said, yeah, I guess I am. Which I actually feel bad for him at that point. It's like, no, he's not boring at all. He's actually smart. I feel so sad for these young ladies today because they've grown up in a culture thinking that drinking and smoking and having tattoos and having babies all over the place is what a man's supposed to be. And Nardo is the template how it used to be. You kind of waited before you had a kid before your marriage. If you didn't drink, it was fine. And, and there was only like a few people I knew who smoked weed back in the day. You know the cats who smoke weed. It wasn't everybody. Some guys, if some guys smoke cigarettes, some guys smoke weed, but for the most part, it wasn't. He was more of the norm like 20, 30 years ago. Now he's almost like odd. And it's fascinating watching all these women talking to Nardo and their heads are kind of exploding because on paper, if you look at him and you hear him talk, you would figure, oh, he has all these things. He has tats. He smokes, he drinks. No, he's not that at all. And yeah. Towards the end, there was a young lady who asked him, does he have tattoos? And he said no. And her head was just like exploded because she just couldn't understand. Like, what are you talking about? Why do you? When people always talk about boss moves, I think he's really doing boss move stuff. If you smoke a little bit and drink a little bit, that's fine. If you do it in moderation, that's fine. Evidently, he doesn't like to drink. He doesn't like to smoke. He wants to make sure that he's alert at all times, that he knows what's going on around him, which is very smart. There's nothing wrong if you don't have tattoos. And most importantly, there's nothing wrong if you don't have a kid. I can only imagine what Future's more successful than Nardo, but I can only imagine what Future pays for child support every month. Nick Cannon, is more successful in the Future. I can only imagine how much money that Nick Cannon pays out for child support every month. Nardo don't have to worry about that. No baby mama drama, no child support. He doesn't smoke, so long term his health might be good, and he's not damaging his body with alcohol. Like, what's wrong with that? I kind of feel sad for these young ladies because if you do end up with a guy, because let's say this young lady who said that to him ends up with a guy who does drink and smoke. Well, you can't complain about that guy later, right? I think women, for some reason, they like drama. That's just how they're made up. But if that's the guy that you chose, you can't complain. Oh my God, he drinks too much or he smokes too much. Well, that's what you want. It kind of reminds me when Pepper said that maybe she should have married Will Smith back in the day because Will was interested in Pepper and Pepper really wasn't interested because she had like Tretch and Tretch had tats. Tretch was rough. Tretch was that dude. And Pepper would have never liked Will in that way because Will is he's not a drinker, he's not a smoker, he's just a solid dude. Not to say Tretch isn't. Tretch is solid in a different way. Tretch is solid in a street way, but not a guy that wants to be married. Like Will Smith is a marrying dude. It would have been interesting if we saw like a young Will Smith in a show like this today, because he probably would have chose one of these young ladies because he seems to like kind of chicks who are kind of rough around the edges. But I think you should check this 50 Women versus Rapper with Nardo out. I think for Gen Xers, if you're a parent or grandparent, you should watch this because you get a glimpse of what young men have to deal with when it comes to dating. If you have a daughter or granddaughter, you get to see what your friends might be like. If you have a daughter that's kind of reminiscent of these girls, like young ladies, you might get to see how they are when they actually date. I wish this whole generation had better role models when it comes to dating and marriage, because something just went off the rails. and I feel bad for them. Um, if you're a young man out here dating, tell me how it is. Like how difficult is it to date in these times? Um, because I think a lot of these young ladies are sincere. I think even though they're a little bit rougher than the young ladies I dated back when I was his age, I think they still want love, even though they don't express it. But it's just rough. There's a tougher exterior now. Um, so if you're a young man who dates, tell me how that goes. If if you have you ever got a tattoo because you want to impress a young lady? Did you drink or smoke to impress a young lady? Because we all did that when we were young. Like I tried to be tougher than I actually was. Like I wasn't tough. Like I like comic books, man. I like comic books. I like the Greatest American Hero. I like Star Wars stuff. Like, but you try to act differently to attract women because they seem to like rougher dudes or street dudes. And if you didn't date a lot, you try to impress these young ladies. You try to be something that you're not. And the most authentic thing, Nardo was very authentic. Just like I said, like Will Smith is authentic, Tretch is authentic. Just be yourself, And I hope that Nardo doesn't compromise his beliefs just for a woman, because that's not fair to him, and it's not fair to the young ladies. I want these young ladies to have better men in their lives. A lot of these young ladies don't have father figures or fathers in their lives, and they end up being with dudes. Not to say these guys are bad, it's just they don't try to uplift them up because those guys are damaged. Like everybody's damaged in this era. So check out this 50 Women versus a Rapper with Nardo Wick. It's very entertaining. And I think, and I don't want to beat up on the young folks, but I just wish they had better role models to study. In some ways, I think we actually let them down.